What's happening, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Sew To Bestow. And in this episode, I will be doing 3 things specifically. I thought I was going to chop up these videos, but I just have a few things to do here. So I have my material. Wow. See how that works? Usually dropped the garage. But the first thing I'm going to do here is take apart these buttons. And this is going to be a new cleaning rag, actually. So that's what's happening with these. I remember doing this shirt way back in 2021. The way I remember that is because of this button right here. And it rhymes with the one in the middle. I love these 3 buttons, but I say that about all of my buttons, right? So I decided to make this a rag because it's one of those shirts that even though I take it through the wringer and I wash it and make it to where there is no white marks, white yellow marks, it still ends up happening. So I don't know. Well, I do know, which is that this will now be a rag as opposed to a nicely worn shirt. I think the fate of all white shirts is that they become dingy after a while. I mean, I knew somebody who had the incredible ability to make anything you wore very white, and I'm not sure what technique she used, but I still think of her to this day. Whenever I had a white shirt, I gave it to her, and she would literally make it like 10 times more white. I'm like, what kind of material, like what kind of chemical process are you using to make this happen? A lot of people don't like to wear white because white picks up on everything. Even this shirt that I'm taking apart the thread, I'm noticing some blue thread I must have had in here before. But anyway, I keep the thread, as you all know. I'm going to save that for later. But for now, I'm taking apart all of what I can. Okay, and it looks like the big job here is done. All of the thread is out as much as I can get it. I'm using my seam ripper to get every piece of it. Okay, now we got that out the way. So the next order of business is to take all of this white thread, put it in our jar here. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is sew this on together. See what happens. Sometimes I like this kind of thing, but I think it should be sewn properly, so I'm going to re-sew that. And I happen to have just enough thread to re-sew it on, or to sew it to make sure it's secured, you know. I'm basically sewing it twice. Now do another plan it around to make sure it doesn't go nowhere. And I'll probably actually just rip the existing one off. But anyway, I'm going to actually do that right now. I'm going to rip this one off. Get it closer to the edge here. I'll continue to wrap it around as I was. Create a nice shank. I'm not sure why this button in particular always ends up falling off. Or at least the thread gets caught in the mess. So to avoid that, I'm going to create a knot at the root. If you're listening to what I'm saying, does any of this make sense? I'm talking about planets and shanks. When I first started this series, I was very big on these terms. Sometimes I feel like talking, sometimes I don't. In this case, I am talking, but I'm using words that you might not even know what I'm talking about. So, anyway. Now that one is done. That didn't take much. Okay. Now, the last thing we're going to do is a similar thing. Another one of my favorite pair of pants. This button just tends to hang down sometimes. Just the pink threads here, see? So, whenever we have a situation like that, we're just going to start over. I'm actually thinking of replacing this one. Maybe it's a sign that it needs to be replaced. So, that's what I'll do. So, I'm going to replace this button with something similar, but different. It needs to be just as big, at least. Has to match the size. Now the question is, what is it going to be? Do I have something of that way? So one way that I help myself is I take this green vase and I place them all in here. So I can make it I think I know which one is going to be its replacement, and it's going to be this, actually, it's going to be this pink button right here. I found its replacement. So we're going to put that back in there. I'm going to take this button from the original. Going to just rip this out because clearly it's not stuck. Take all of this thread out as best we can. Sometimes I'm not as clean with it, but I got it out. Now, this pink thread here. I'm going to stab it from the bottom. Take this button. Like that. Perfectly in the middle there. See? Keep it going, nice and steady. Lordy. I'm going to do it 3 times just to make sure it's not going nowhere before we even create our shank. So one more time. Sometimes it's really tough to get through. But I got it now, y'all. Now we can create our shank, but first we're going to create a knot there right at the bottom. Foundation, the root. Let's create a little knot just to have extra security. Then we're going to come back from the bottom closer to the point. I'm sure you're not able to see everything I'm explaining, so just take this as education, ASMR. You don't have to really pay attention. Alright, so we got it rooted in there. We're going to come in the middle. I love doing this move. See? See that? It's a cool vision. I actually like the way this looks. I'm going to take a picture of it on my phone. It's cool. Okay, maybe not with the camera there. Anyway. So, now I'm going to come down and make another knot. I've already made 3 foundational knots now. I will find it very hard to believe this knot, this button itself will go anywhere. It can't be dangling after what I've done to it in this occasion. Okay. Alright, now we can cut it off. And there we have it, folks. That button not going nowhere. And that is the completion of this episode